Hi, Josh.
Hi. Sorry. Hi, David.
How you doing?
Good. How you doing?
I'm good. I'm good. Right, we're gonna jump right into it. Okay.
Sounds good.
What are you sure about in life? What are you certain about in life?
I'm not really certain about anything, honestly. I feel like every single thing in my life can be improved. Therefore, I don't have total certainty about anything. I have things that I feel very strongly are good theories and are theory laden. And those theories I rely on until I'm proven otherwise. This is a good question for me because I took a personality test recently and I'm a DI. It's called a DISC test. And in the DISC test, I'm very results driven. So certainty is only to me based on results, but results are always going to be changing. Some things that I feel very strongly that I have good theories about would be jiu-jitsu works for hand-to-hand combat. Another one that I feel very strongly about is that people solve problems better in high trust groups. So that is groups of people are smarter and more empathetic and wiser when we trust each other and have community. And it's testable. So for me, everything has to be testable to be certain about it. But outside of that, I question everything, and there's not a lot that I feel I can be pushed off of any opinion based on new results. So there's nothing that I feel 100% stuck to.
And how do you manage that uncertainty, knowing that life is filled with, from your perspective, this sense of uncertainty, and like, how do you grab that and run with it and use it to your advantage?
I embrace it. I really do. I subscribe to David Deutsch's philosophy on problem solving and what he calls his principle of optimism. And that means that all problems that do not defy the laws of physics are solvable with the right knowledge. So that uncertainty is just saying that everything is problems. Everything's problems. And they're all solvable with the right knowledge. So that's optimistic, right? However, we have to solve them in time, is how we have to solve the problems. And in order to do that, I believe we have to do it in groups, communities, and we're much better at that. And I embrace all of that. I like problems. People think of problems as a negative thing. Problems is uncertainty, right? So there's two kinds of problems. There's ones that have already existed in the world, right? There's problems that already exist. Like, let's say it was a jiu-jitsu problem. I could show you a solution that I know, maybe. So how to escape a choke. I could show you this. That's existing knowledge. But you can create new knowledge too. And that's the uncertainty part. So the uncertainty part is like, well, they're both uncertain if you don't have it because you're ignorant to the solution. But humanity might be ignorant to the solution, or humanity might already have the solution, you just need to find it. Both can exist, but that uncertainty is fun. To me, solving problems is happiness. So I try to embrace the idea of everything's uncertain, and that requires vulnerability, and vulnerability leads to growth, and therefore that uncertainty is really life, right? It's really life, and to me, I equate it to problems and problem solving. So yeah, that's how I don't feel like I have a very stressful life because of my attitude towards problems, I guess. So I like them. It's fun,
I resonate with that because I do too. I've spent my whole life solving problems and very much enjoyed the challenge of doing so. And in that challenge is growth, right? Like when you're pushed outside your comfort zone, when you ask questions about things that may be established, as you say, or maybe something brand new, it's an opportunity to add something to you and to the world around you. And I guess the question in that is that challenge part of problems. Is that something that resonates with you? Is there other parts of problem solving that resonate with you?
The challenge part of problems, for me, like, I'm always attracted in my life. I don't know what it is. The more challenging something is, the more I like it. So for example, jiu-jitsu is the hardest art to get your black belt in that I know of. Maybe there's some obscure thing, but in general, it took me 16 years to get my black belt. It's very hard. And you have to go through a lot of blood, sweat, and tears. But I was very attracted to that because of the results, Or I'm a muskie fisherman, so I fish for a species of fish called muskies. They call them the fish of 10,000 casts. They're really hard to catch just one of them. And to be a person that catches them consistently is even harder. And to be a person that comes up with new knowledge on how to catch them is even harder. And I was obsessed with this for a long time, and I still do it, but it's kind of like a more of a leisurely thing now. But business is challenging. It's hard. There's a lot of competition, and that attracts me to it. It doesn't. I'm attracted to the challenges. Even anywhere in my life that I see a challenge, relationships, all those things, I like it. I like the challenge. I embrace it because I like problem solving.
Without necessarily going to specifics, are there challenges that you can bring up that you weren't able to solve, problems that you weren't able to solve in your life? And if so, kind of how did you navigate that internally?
This is a hard question to answer because I don't feel like a problem is unsolvable until I quit on it. And it's pretty rare that I can think like I can think of maybe a few. Some of them being mostly medical ones with people that, well, luckily I haven't had a medical problem I wasn't able to solve yet. I did have some medical problems, and I got very lucky I was able to solve them because they were pretty debilitating. But others around me have had ones that I didn't have answers for. And it was frustrating, but I wanted to keep trying. And it came to the point where some of them didn't make it, and that was, I accepted it. I accepted it. Like I didn't let it like break me or traumatize me too hard. And I looked at it like it was just a problem we didn't solve in time. And I'm kind of attracted to the problem still, even though beyond them, they've inspired me to relook at health, because these seem like solvable problems to me. It wasn't just like, someone dies, they get a car accident or something that was like an accident. It wasn't like that. It was like a chronic health issues around me where I think like something's causing these. And now I'm interested in trying to solve those long term. But it is frustrating when you can't solve a problem in time. But I still believe that the solutions exist. So I don't let it discourage me so much, because as long as the solution doesn't defy the laws of physics, we should be able to figure out a way to solve it. And so it gives me just a new challenge in my mind if it crosses my path again. But of course it is more rewarding when you solve it, because solving problems is happiness, and there wasn't happiness in that when you couldn't solve it, and for someone that you care about, and then they passed away or they're still sick.
Often when you are solving problems, whether you solve them or not, you pick up skills and knowledge and awareness, and those examples you just talked about, I guess, while they were unsolvable problems in many ways, do you feel like you still took a lot of value from the attempt, the process, the doing of trying to solve and show up in that way?
Yeah, I did. Yeah, for sure. But each one is different. It wasn't like, I got some blanket lesson from them. Some of the problems were actually that there was a solution to the problem, but the person didn't want to even try. And so the problem was trying to convince the person to try maybe, and they didn't want to. And so sometimes you just have to let people be themselves and choose their own thing. And that was kind of like a lesson in itself. Or sometimes it was just, we don't have the technology yet to solve a problem. That's a different lesson. But then still learn how to deal with a person while they're going through that, and have empathy for it, and learn maybe there will be a problem, there probably will be someday, a problem we all can't solve, each one of us. And you can learn to see how someone goes through that with poise, with gumption, with love, with thinking about others, without being selfish, with still putting her children first, or, I'm obviously citing a specific example in my mind here, but there's lessons for sure there, like maybe bigger lessons than the ones you actually solve.
Let's pivot. I'm going to ask you to humor me, and we're going to do a little experiment. And
Love
so
it.
firstly, you can close your eyes for me.
I'm going to close your eyes? Okay. Close my eyes? Okay.
Yeah. And firstly, I just want you to notice your breathing. And now I'm going to ask you a question. But before I ask you the question, I want to prepare you to grab the answer. Because when I ask the question, there's going to be a million memories that will flood into your brain. And what I'm going to ask you to do is to concentrate very hard to grab the first memory. And from that memory, you don't need to tell me what it is. The first part of it is just hold on to it. And when you've held on to it, when you've grabbed it, just let me know, and then I'm going to ask the question. And you can keep your eyes closed the whole time, all right?
Got it.
So the question is, what's your first memory as a child?
That's a funny memory, so it's hard for me to hold on to it without laughing.
So you have it?
I have it, yeah.
What does that kid think the future is going to be like?
I don't think he's thinking about the future.
What's he thinking about?
Messing with his sister.
How's he messing with his sister?
There's a doorway in my sister. I'm probably 4. My sister is 2 or 3. And she's in a jumper, like where it's like attached to the doorway with like elastic. And she's sitting in it. And she's bouncing up and down. And I start pulling her back and letting go and firing her into the bathroom where my mom is. And she like hits the door, but she's giggling and laughing. So I keep doing it over and over again. That's my first memory that I remember.
I love it. Thank you for sharing. You can open your eyes now.
Yeah, that's
so
interesting.
Are we, firstly, as I guess the members of our species that are on this planet right now, going through the things we're going through, are we important, like relative to our ancestors and the descendants that come after us? Are we significant for some other reason that anyone else might be considered in history?
I love this question. You're framing it, are we important compared to people in history, which is kind of specific. I never really thought about that. I think we're important. Compared to people in history, I think we're equally important. I think our importance is based on what we assign to ourselves as purpose. People in history did, they did so many things for us, but when you look at the kind of like the evolution of humanity, it's really the last 500 years that the most of it came. But why? Like, why is it so recently? And we have the same brains as we did for millions of years, the same ability to do things in groups and for others. And so why was it the last 500 years that we did this? I think it was because of what's called a culture of criticism, science, and we allowed our ideas to be criticized without dogma in the way, and we didn't always take from institutions anymore, and we tested things, we put things to the test. We said like, oh, does the earth, everything really revolve around the earth, or is that true? And then we tested it. So that culture of criticism was what caused us to really evolve quickly. But in terms of importance, I don't think that we're any more important or less important. I mean, it took a long time for us to figure out the wheel and fire and like all those things. When you zoom out though, in terms of importance in the universe, I think we're very important because we're unique in terms of the universe. In terms of the universe, there is sort of like this saying in the scientific community that we're just chemical scum on a rock. You know, you hear some scientists, Hawkins, I think, said this, and or maybe it wasn't Hawkins. I don't know. Well, there's a famous scientist that said this, and we're just chemical scum on a rock floating through space. But that's not really true. We're chemical scum on a rock floating through space that can dream about chemical scum or talk about it. We can also control the laws of physics with knowledge. we can help each other, we can procreate. So this makes us different than all the other matter in the universe. Like if you look around the whole universe, everything's very predictable, right? This is David Deutsch talks about this, where in outer space, the big object always wins, right? So if you have a planet and a little meteor, and the meteor hits the planet barely feels it, and the meteor's gone. Or a planet gets too close to a star, the star destroys the planet. Or a star gets too close to a black hole, the black hole rips it to shreds. The big object always wins. But on Earth, on the surface of this planet, everything's backwards. We're controlled by little tiny things, cells, and different chemical compounds that exist here and nowhere else. And those things command everything around here, and they unify and create people and knowledge. And that's the one thing that our planet has, is one day there could be an object bigger than Earth coming at Earth, and the last second it gets deflected. So like you have this big meteor, let's say it comes, it gets deflected. So what caused it to get deflected in terms of the universe? What laws of physics caused that? I mean, it could be a lot of things. It could be nuclear power or lasers or some Star Trek, who knows? But what really caused it below that layer is knowledge. And humans create knowledge and harbor knowledge. So that means we are special in terms of the universe and important. But importance is still like philosophically assigned. Like we have to assign importance, like what we think is important and what's not. I guess that's up to all of us. But if we kind of have like a universal agreement, which I think most people do, like don't kick old ladies in the shin, or help each other when you see each other need help. You know, show love to people that are in need. If we have this kind of overall thing with each other, then the value of knowledge and humanity and people is important, including on our ancestors, like you asked about, but also including ourselves right now, if we should decide to do that.
Thank you for sharing that. To put it another way, to kind of echo the point you just made, we're here on this planet. We are the most intelligent beings in the universe. And not only is that a notable fact, but we're the ones that create meaning out of the universe, right? Like that we create meaning as individuals, as a species, and we've created meaning out of history, out of the universe, out of the present, out of the future. And I unfortunately think we are at a point in our history where we really are as close as we've ever been to losing it all. And again, not just for us and for all the animals and the plants and the life on this planet, but again, losing that meaning in the universe.
Yeah.
Does that mean anything to you?
I think you've nailed it. Like, we are at a point because of technology where we can wipe out everything. People are making viruses in labs right now. Why? Why are they giving them gain of function? Why are we looking at ways to kill people and control people? And this is why, like, I'm so focused on collective intelligence and collective problem solving and group problem solving and collective creativity and community, because the solution isn't to fight against the people that want to be the enemies of civilization and they want to take away our ability to assign meaning. They want to assign meaning, and it's not a good assignment of meaning. They've corrupted our systems, and they want to assign this superficial meaning to humanity. And I am at a point in my life where I'm willing to die to go the other way. Like, I don't care if I die on the path that I'm on. I want there to be meaning for the future generations, for my relatives, for everyone that is around me. And I've been lucky to be part of communities where the meaning is at the core, the purpose is at the core. You accept the purpose for the community, and then you solve problems and you build trust, and it turns into this thing, this feeling that's the opposite of the feeling I get when I look at our political or corporate Wall Street systems. I'm not against business, of course. I think businesses can be very helpful. You know, it should be that you can assign purpose to a business the same way you assign purpose to any community. That's up to the people that are running the businesses. But the consumers, if we want to change everything, the consumers need to decide we're going to shop at businesses that have purpose, have meaning, that are transparent, that take care of I call it the 5 pillars, that take care of itself, because if it doesn't make money, it can't help anybody. It's employees, and it's customers, it's community, and the environment around it. And if we only shopped at places that did that, we would stop shopping at places like Wall Street owned food, and we could change everything. But that's a cultural change. Like when purpose is cultural, right? Like we assign purpose through sometimes religion, sometimes through government, sometimes through the media. And right now there's a culture war happening that's destroyed our culture. We don't have purpose, and we need voices we can just come together probably. I feel very, very confident that if we get a big enough group of people together, and so let's set a new culture for ourselves, that we would come up with one that's probably more beautiful than anyone that's ever been come up with, if we have the right system and way to do it. And so I think it's really, very important. I think you nailed it the way you worded it, and I agree with it 100%.
And I agree that collection of people, groups, large, small, great advantage to everyone. And it's solving problems, absolutely. It's a great advantage. And I guess my question is, considering the setup, the status quo, and then placing the image you just laid out there, which is a world that thrives in a different way, do you think that path is possible, that we can get there before it's too late?
I don't just think it. You asked me if I'm sure of something, and I'm close to sure that it's possible. I'm very, very close to sure. I believe it with as much as I believe in jiu-jitsu when I first got shown it in 1997, when a 120-pound girl choked me out 5 times in 3 minutes. I believe in it because it worked. And I've seen groups of people be able to do this. I've seen with collective intelligence systems, beautiful answers come out that are empathetic, loving, caring. It's better than AI, because AI is like robotic. You put people's love, empathy, and creativity together in the right way, and you can change everything. The thing is, you need a movement. You need people to go, you know what? We need to do something different. We need to decide to do something different. And usually to require that kind of change requires drastic negativity, maybe, or something traumatic happens to you, and then you're like, oh, I should have changed before. I didn't realize this. And that's sort of a scary problem, because people are going to suffer if our systems break, But it's really simple to me, because I look at our systems that are running humanity. We're big. Humanity's big now. So whatever systems we decide to use as humanity, we have to really trust them, or we'll never trust each other enough to build these communities. And so step 1 is to build a trustworthy system. And what is trust in a system? Well, it's only 2 things to me. Trust in a system is transparency. Can I see the problems? If I can't see the problems, I can't help fix it. And right now, all of our systems, I can't see the problems. Oh, I can't even see, I'm not going to get into political things here, but think about some files you might want to see, or anything that is related to government that we're not allowed to see. If this is a government formed by the people, how are we helping solve problems that we can't see? If you can't see the problem, it's not trustworthy. And the second one is results. If your system is not getting results, you're not going to trust it. So it could be transparent, but if it keeps failing, I'm still not going to trust the system. So those are the 2 things that we need. We need a system that's transparent and one that gets results. And I also like to add that one that we have a say in how the system works. The people that are using the system, that have skin in the game, have a say in how that works. You have those 3 things, you have a trustworthy system. Then, once we have that, we can build trust with each other. And that is only built on vulnerability reciprocated with effort. So I'm vulnerable with you. We decide to solve a problem together. We go into business together. We throw $5,000 in. We do a bunch of stuff. A lot of ways to be vulnerable. Emotionally vulnerable. I can be physically vulnerable. I can let you choke me and I tap out and you let go. We build trust. I lend you money. You pay me back. We build trust. There's a lot of ways to build trust. But if I don't trust the system we're using, we can't ever even get to that point. And in a small group, the system could just be we're like a family, a community. But when you scale it to humanity size, you need a better system. And we have the technology to do this right now. We can build better high trust systems that aren't so easy to corrupt, that aren't run by one person, and then all you gotta do is corrupt that one person or 2 people. So I know, or I don't say I know, again, I don't know. I don't know with 100% certainty, but I've seen strong evidence, running other systems, smaller systems, medium-sized systems, hundreds of people in a system, that if we have systems that are power with people instead of power over people, it changes everything. If you include everyone in the problem-solving process, you set a new culture and a new purpose for that group, and then you have a good system to use to extract knowledge and wisdom and rules and decision-making from the group, and criticism, go back to the criticism, allow the group to criticize answers and improve them, you create something that is the opposite of what we have in our world today. In our world today, they want the system centralized, very few people in control, then it's easy to corrupt, and they can install this bad culture. If we do decentralized, where we all have a say, it becomes really hard to corrupt. If it's transparent, and it becomes a new thing. I mean, we call it a genie, but like if you have 100 brains solving a problem, 100 different brains solving a problem, and each brain weighs 1 pound, and you put them together in the right way, it forms like a new brain, a new thing that floats above the group. And that new thing doesn't just weigh 100 pounds. It weighs 1,000 or 10,000, depending on how much, based on how much trust you have in the group and how good the system is. It can be infinitely bigger, infinitely more creative, infinitely more empathetic, loving, and all of these things, but it's built on trust. And I get in debates with people about trust versus faith. Faith is blind. Faith is like, just believe me. You know, trust is based on evidence. It's based on previous iterations. It's based on, hey, I went through, a Navy SEAL team trusts each other. Why? Because they were in 4 different battles together. They went through Hell Week. They did all these different things together. So 16 of them is worth 300 other men because of the trust that they have in each other. I'm not worried if this guy's going to rob me. He's looking that way. I got his back. We're looking that way. So getting each other's back and creating, it's called a swarm. It's not my term. This is a term that's used in science of collective intelligence. But I don't just believe it's possible. I've seen it. I've seen the evidence. I've seen it be smarter, wiser, more loving, and make money in businesses. I've seen it do all kinds of stuff. So I feel very, very strongly that this is all fixable, and quickly too. But yet we got to have a movement where people go, you know what? Well, I'm done with this. I'm done with like this, and like some of the stuff you're doing with Q, where you're connecting people online like this. This is how you build trust face to face. If you can't get face to face, at least get video to video. And now I know you're not an AI or bot. I had interaction with you. That is a step above like what we have right now. When you're on Facebook, I don't know who's what. Am I talking to AI? I don't even know what I'm talking to. So we need a new system that kind of fuses IRL and URL. Your system with Q, like to have conversations with each other, seems like a pretty good example of that to me. So.
Thank you for sharing all that. I agree with all of it, and I agree with the optimism too that it can be done and we can get there. And again, to your point, that's what Q is about, what I'm trying to contribute to. But I'll also add that this philosophy of firstly transparency with trust and then reliability. In my vision for Q, one of the riddles I've had over the years is so many big companies have so many big problems, right? And they go away, they scribble away, and they work on them quietly. And these, by the way, are problems that maybe affect customers, that are like a public-facing problem, but they keep it internal. And to me, as I think about growing Q, and again, building that trust and kind of collective intelligence element of it, I see a world where as I face problems along the road of this company and I need more voices, I'm not just asking the people inside the walls of Q, I'm asking the world outside. I'm asking for individuals to come back and say, this is the problem. We can't solve it yet. Help us. And I guess there's not really a question there. It's just really a statement of, it just surprises me that so many companies don't ask for help. It's like a weird ego, pride, or protection thing. I'm not sure. Does that do you feel that as well? Do you feel that would be a useful avenue for companies to take as a way to build trust and grow?
So to me, there's like 2 different kinds of companies, right? There's companies that are like Wall Street owned that have to adhere to like these, they set their own rules and laws, and like they can't share secrets and betray stockholders, and it's a mess. And I try to purposely not, of course I buy some Wall Street owned companies. I have a cell phone, I have a car. It's really hard to get one of those without it being owned by Wall Street. But things like food or anything like that I can close if I can help it. I try to buy things that are not owned by Wall Street. because of the lack of transparency, the lack of them having purpose, like all of those things that I disagree with that should be part of my culture. And so I do think that, and this may sound cocky, but it's not me, it's a system. I believe I could be put in charge of any company, pretty much 100 people, 200 people, 300 people, maybe not 3 people or 4 people where it's real specialized, but a larger company. And I don't need to know anything about the company. We could be making something fictitious that I know nothing about, moon bearings or I don't know, whatever. And I think the company has a really good chance of running well if we did exactly what you described. First of all, I do think within the walls is important because some companies don't even do that. Mm-hmm. Some companies don't even listen to their employees. And when you do that, they're the ones that are experiencing the problem, which is different than someone just observing a problem. When you feel the problem and then you come across a solution, everyone goes, oh yeah, that was the solution all along. And they feel it, they feel the results with you. But I really strongly do believe in talking to, in this case, you're saying like the world, the customers, maybe the customers aren't even paying, but they're using your platform or whatever and listening to them. And when you do that, in my experience, it works really, really, really well. Are groups of people infallible? No, neither is any individual infallible. But on average, and this is testable, you can do IQ tests, you can do creative problem solving, you can do all kinds of tests. Groups of people on average are much, much, much less fallible than individuals if you have trust in a good system. That's just, it's this fact to me that is as equal to me as if you know jujitsu and I don't, my chance of beating you exists, but it's not very strong, right? It's very, very low. And because of my system, because of the system that we're using and the system that we need to be using with people, really simply put, this is the simplest way that I have been shown how to express this is we need systems that are power with the people, not power over the people. You empower people to come up with ideas and solutions, and then you reward people some way based on that. And it requires transparent systems. So like if I got put in charge of, let's say there's a failing company and you said, Josh, you're in charge of it, the first thing I would do is make it totally transparent, including showing the employees how much money I make. I would go to our first manager meeting and I would have questions for everyone. If you had my job, what's the first thing you'd do? I'd let the group decide. They'd list I'd probably have their top 5. So that way, like we don't like one answer. If you let them only answer one, maybe answer 3 is the best. We just kind of eliminated that. But we can start with the top 5 answers and then say, okay, let's take the top 1 answer. You guys criticize this. Give me the top 3 criticisms of this answer. And then they criticize the answer, playing like a collective intelligence game. And you kind of have a conversation with this group of people as if they're one big giant genie. That could be your employees. It could be your customers. I have an idea someday I would love to create a customer controlled business, not owned. No owner. There'll be no owner that takes money out of the business, but the customers directly decide how much the employees make. They directly decide how much the managers make. They directly decide what products you're selling. So if we started a grocery store, I would say, customers, what do you want to do? And if it was like the wellness space, they'd be like, let's have independently tested foods that are tested for glyphosate and insecticides. And go, okay, which ones do you want on the shelves? You guys are the ones buying it. Where should we buy it from? Like you ask them that, and then they feel empowered, like they have a voice, and they're going to shop there. Their money's going to go into a transparent kitty, into the middle, and go, all right, we got $3 million. What do you guys want to do with that? Well, let's put on a spa, a weightlifting gym, whatever you guys want to do, and we keep adding to our thing. But you give the customers direct control, and no owner, like Wall Street has demanded owners that have to take money out for the profits. Well, let's create one that is a system that works for us, with us, power with the people. It's still for profit, but it's like collective capitalism. I don't know the word. The words, people get screwed up with words. We use words and no one defines them. And then I'm talking about one thing and you're labeling something different, and words can get really messy, but we can create different systems that are power with the people, not power over, even in economics, even in the marketplace that exists right now. In fact, that's the best path that I see to fix this, is to not fight the system, but create a new thing and then plug it in.
To bring it back to the beginning, the one certainty we can have is that things will change and things will evolve and things will grow. Now, thank you so much for this. But before I finish up, I'm going to give you a couple of minutes to either share something that you wanted to share and you didn't get a chance to, you can ask me a question about anything. Whatever you want to do, you've got a couple of minutes.
I got a question for you. I always like start off with the end in mind, right? And then go back to first things first. And I see like your vision for Q, and I'm curious to like what's like your end vision, if you could summarize it in like maybe like a paragraph. Like, where do you see Q going? If you could make it go anywhere, just kind of like go that direction. Which way would you want it to go? Where do you want it to be? What tangible thing? Because I went to your inaugural event and I see the system, but then people ask me like, what is it going to be? And I go, well, let me ask them. So go ahead.
Well, I'm going to give you a half answer, and that's that Q, for me, it's not about suddenly getting 1 million people or 1 billion people using a platform or following us. It's, to me, the reward is the journey, is the everyday, is the bits in between, is having these conversations like the ones I'm having with you right now. And like Q is a very simple concept. It's the idea of learning from every moment. It's turning the idea of being present into something active. And in activating your brain in that way, in deciding to look at life in a way that you don't need to be in a classroom to learn and to grow. In fact, every moment of every day you can learn and grow. And that concept is very simple. But I think one of the things that people struggle with right now is okay, but what is that realized? How does that work? And here's the short of it with Q is there's no quick answer, one-line answer I'm going to give that's going to give the answer to that. The point of it is experience. And so with Q, it's been very deliberate from the beginning that as I grow this company, I'm not doing it by spending tons of money on marketing campaigns and flashy ads. I'm doing it incrementally, one conversation, one piece of content, one experience at a time. And as I share those experiences and as my kind of the following grows, I learn more. Q learns more about what it is and how it can help people, and it'll just kind of naturally evolve. And so that said, like I have a very clear vision of what the future of, in fact, for the next 20 years of Q and what it will expand to and evolve to, and how it will stagger to that point. So if we think about an end vision, I do have some big pieces on the horizon, but really the goal for me is just like I've been the benefit of a life with a lot of experience, and I have known a lot of people who haven't had that opportunity, and I know the difference. I can see the difference, and I think that to me it's such a tragedy that so much potential is wasted, and for a lot of the reasons that we talked about. And so for me, like success of Q, to me, Q's already successful. I've already helped people. I've already, and that's wonderful. If it shut down tomorrow and something happened, I would be very sad, of course, and it would be difficult, but I would be grateful for all that I've achieved thus far. So kind of long, winding, meandering answer. And again, I'll encourage people when they think about Q, like when I try and bring people into Q, there's a deliberate part of me that makes it a little bit ambiguous, because in order to grow, you need to be curious, right? And a lot of people lack curiosity. And if you lack curiosity, you're going to stay right where you are, because if you're not curious about yourself or the world or anything going around you, that's it, right? And so that's what I'm trying to inspire in people. So as I build this out, I don't want to give people these explicit answers, because one, there isn't explicit answers, and that's kind of the point. The point is to always be looking for answers, because they are everywhere, even if you don't know what the questions are. And really what I'm trying to instill is that sense of curiosity in life and in the world and in other again, because right now we look at each other and there's fear and hostility and just an uncertainty about what to expect, even from the people you know and love, by the way. Like that's where we're at in life. You can't sit around dinner tables these days with your family and it not be a contentious thing like it used to be just very, very recently. And so people close themselves off, their curiosity dwindles. And so that's the ambition for me. And really, I like, end ambition for Q, if I could flip a switch and suddenly everyone in the world was curious again, about other, about growth, about what's out there, about why we're here, about how to best enjoy our experience and make the most of it. That's my mission. Because with that, with a sense of curiosity about the world, like to give someone that gift is to give someone a life, right? It's to give someone exponentially more than they might have. And of course, like anything, curiosity is a spectrum.
Curiosity spelled with a Q. Yeah.
Absolutely spelled with a Q.
Yeah, I
Absolutely.
remember listening to an interview with John F. Kennedy, and they asked him what his favorite quality about himself was. And the interviewer was like, I thought he was going to say courage. I thought he was going to say leadership, but he said curiosity. Mm-hmm. So pretty interesting.
I think it's again, you don't grow without curiosity. Like you really fundamentally grow. Of course you do by proxy of experience to some extent, but if you're not thinking about it, if you're not asking questions about your experience, then it's very hard to grow beyond what your current status is.
I think I learned something from this interview that I'm going to refocus, at least in teaching jiu-jitsu to my kids and students, to be curious about the positions and be curious about everything, because I never framed it the way you just described it, and I really liked it. So thank you so much for this interview, David. I really appreciate it.
Thank you.
All right.